Hello and welcome to the Potty Mouth Preacher, healing women's minds, bodies, and souls, one F-bomb at a time. I am Lisa Czak, your host. On today's episode, I am going to tell you why I know for certain, with 100% certainty, that the healing techniques that I use on my personal clients and now in my brand new Heal Your Shit Now monthly healing group, with 100% certainty, I know you will get to peace. No matter what shitstorm you find yourself in, you will get to peace. It is unavoidable. Stay tuned. As always, I'm going to help you shift gears. So go ahead and close your eyes, take 3 deep cleansing breaths in, follow along with me, really exhaling out all the stuff that's weighing heavy on your heart. So, and again, once more. Don't you feel better already? Pretend like your device has a trap door on the back of it, and you are going to leave on the outside of the device that you're listening to me on all of the roles and responsibilities that you are happy to perform in your life, but sometimes you just need a little me time. Sometimes you just want to be yourself, right? And not tend to anyone else. So you are releasing your roles and responsibilities as mom, wife, daughter, friend, sister, granddaughter, mother-in-law, daughter-in-law, any other roles and responsibilities you play. You are also releasing yourself from your job, what your responsibilities are as employer, employee, student, stay-at-home mom. Just release it all on the outside of this device. You're not going to need it in here. Give yourself the gift of being present fully while you are listening to me or watching me. Remembering that it's okay to take time for yourself, that it's crucial. It's not selfish. It's actually selfish to not take care of yourself, because then you're not going to show up in your life the way you want to show up for people. So take 3 more deep cleansing breaths in. Follow along. Again. One last time. And slowly open up your eyes if they were closed. And welcome to the Potty Mouth Preacher, where you get a chance to just be yourself. Just focus on yourself for the next 25 minutes. So, we are now going to switch to celebrations. Those seemingly insignificant, small steps you might not even notice, right? It's the first thing that I do with all my private clients. It's what I'm going to help you with in my new healing group that I'm doing. It's what I help women on the retreats with. Is noticing all of these things that you do every single day that are actually evidence that you are being the woman that God created you to be, right? That you're not waiting for your future self to arrive. I can't stand that, even though I actually did a training on how to create your future self. In that training, I realized you can be her right here, right now. You don't have to wait, right? Even if you're not at the weight you want to be at, even if you're not the size that you want to be, you can be that woman right here, right now. And it's these little steps that you're taking along the way that are going to get you to where you want to go. What I'm celebrating today is the fact that my clients, I have a whole slew, and my private clients, you get to text me and Voxer as you're going through things, right? And one of the things I have you do is text me your celebrations, because I want you to start getting in the habit of actually acknowledging when you're doing stuff right. So you're no longer laying your head on the pillow at night, beating yourself up. I did this and I coulda, woulda, shoulda on myself, right? We're not doing that anymore. And what I love about the celebrations that I'm seeing in Voxer from my private clients right now is them thanking me, that they have so much gratitude that I am on, like one client said, I'm so grateful for you being on this segment, your willingness to work with me on this segment of my healing journey. Right? She came to me because she had just like all the women I work with, they come to me because they have extra weight on their bodies. But really, there's a lot more going on, right? That's weighing them down much more than the extra physical weight on their bodies. And so I'm acknowledging all my clients who are reinforcing that I am a healer, right? I'm going to talk about that in a second. I was not always willing to admit that I was a healer. Have you ever heard of imposter syndrome? I had it big time. I had it when I was a personal trainer too. When I was a personal trainer, I thought I was still a gym class loser because I was that for most of my life before I became a personal trainer. So these clients are acknowledging, right, that I am a healer, something I was resistant to actually acknowledging myself, to owning that I am a healer. And all these clients are seeing all of these ways that they're welcoming healing in their life, right? Before they would look at them like, why me? Why is this happening again to me? Why does this keep happening? And now they look at it as a chance to practice the healing techniques that I teach them. And so their celebrations are all about, yeah, bring it on, bitches. I'm ready to practice some healing. So let's get into our actual topic today of how did I know? Like how did I start becoming a healer, right? Because I started off as a personal trainer. And I started noticing very quickly that physical weight on your body has more to do with what's going on internally. And the women that I worked with, just like me, right? Just like me, maybe you too, drop in comments if you know what I'm talking about. Have you been stuck in a cycle of gaining weight and losing yourself? Notice I say gaining weight and losing yourself, not gaining weight and losing weight. Because when we gain weight, we lose ourselves. So if this sounds like you, drop some fire in comments. Don't forget to subscribe, by the way. Subscribe, like, rate, review, all the things. The first 10 people to leave a comment in this episode get a Portal Tears, Drowning the Demons Beneath the Fat to Keep the Weight from Coming Back for free. I'm going to send you a free signed copy. So drop some comments in there. Tell me, yes or no, are you stuck in the cycle of gaining weight and losing yourself? And I also am curious to know, do you even know what I mean when I say I'm a healer? Right? Because for me, before, I didn't want to say that. It was like, it sounds kooky, right? It sounds like I should have a neon sign. Healer, like, come to me. Like, I don't know, I dress crazy and whatever. I had a lot of limiting beliefs about being a healer. So I'm curious to know, yes or no in comments, do you even know what that means when I say I'm a healer? Or if I asked you, do you want healing? Would you even know what I was talking about? Just drop a yes or no. Just doing a little survey here to see what's happening, because I take women on healing retreats. My daughter and I lead healing retreats. I'm curious to know, do you even know what that means? So this whole healing thing came about. What I do, the technique that I use now, came at the worst time in my life when I became a certified healer, right? In this technique that I use on my clients. And so I have to, as a personal trainer, I have to do continuing education credits every year, right? To renew my license and my certification. So I was in this other coaching program and the coach was offering a free certification So I was like, sign me up, free, right? That sounds like a great thing to do. And it was a healing certification. Now, I had been doing healing techniques on my clients for years, right? I just didn't call them healing techniques. And there were more visualizations, like healing visualizations, which kind of take a while, right? If you're going through some shit, it's really hard to say, oh, wait, hold on a second. I'm going to lay down for 30 minutes, get myself into a meditative state, right? And I'm going to do a visualization to get myself out of this. So I was really needing a quicker way to turn clients around, to help them. So I said, fine, whatever, I'll sign up for this free healing certification. It's called the Peace Process. Christian Michelson is the one that developed this. Now, I was doing a lot of these techniques in the visualizations, right? So I was curious to see, he kept saying peace is inevitable. Peace is inevitable, and within minutes. So I was like, oh, okay, that sounds like it might actually be good. So I sign up for it. It's a 5-day, 12 to like 14 hours a day. It's on Zoom. It's very grueling. It's very long. And the second that I get into the actual certification, I find out my mom, who was in the hospital a couple days before, and she was actually doing okay. Like I was able to talk to her and everything. I get a call from the doctor and she says, I don't think your mom's going to make it. What the fuck? Okay. So instantly I go to, okay, there's no way I can sit in this, training for 12 hours a day for the next 5 days while my mom is dying in the hospital. Now, it was during COVID, and put in comments if you experienced this, anyone in the hospital during COVID, even if they were dying, you weren't allowed to go see them. So she's in Arizona, I'm in Tennessee. My dad had COVID and he was recovering at home. He was really sick. And I couldn't go and see her. No one could go and see her, my mom, while she was in the hospital dying. We weren't allowed to. So my husband is like, well, what are you going to do? You can't just, what are you going to sit there and just wait for the phone to ring? Like, this is crazy, right? And my mom, she couldn't even talk at that point. It was just like weird vocalizations, right? And so I'm like, shit, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I decide, okay, I'm going to go into the first day of training and see how it goes. And if it's crazy and I'm just getting interrupted constantly, from the doctor, I'll just see how it goes, right? Because he was right. What am I going to do? Sit there and stare at the phone and wait, what? To hear that my mom died? To hear that she's deteriorated? Like, I can't even talk to her. So I'm in a state, though, because my mom and I, like besties, right? I mean, my mom and I have the best relationship. We were super, super close. So I go into the first session and I can't drop in comments if you can relate to this, if you're a coach maybe, or if you've ever had to go in a breakout room, right, during these Zoom sessions. I fucking hate those breakout rooms, right? So I already have a bad attitude. I'm already like, I don't know what this is. I'm just doing it to get my continuing education credits. My mom's dying. I'm distracted by that. I'm emotional as hell, right? I am just really losing it, to be quite honest, just completely falling apart. So I go into the breakout room with a bad attitude, and we have to practice doing this healing technique on each other. And so there was a guy too. I was like, oh, great. It's a fucking guy, right? I don't even work with men. Like, what am I going to do with him? Bad attitude, really bad attitude. And not believing it either, even though we were just taught the whole thing by Christian. And I'm still not believing it though. I'm like, this is a crock if I ever heard of one, right? He's going to sell us something probably at the end of this. And so the other coach that I'm in the group with, he starts doing this healing technique on me. And he tells me, think about something that's going on in your life that's really causing you distress. Well, that's easy, right? So I just start sobbing, right? I can't even speak because my mom is dying. My worst fear is happening. My mother is dying and I can't see her. I can't talk to her. I can't be with her. I'm at the mercy of the doctors who I believe are killing her, right? Because they're not giving her the medical treatment that she should have gotten. Anyway, so I'm just sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And he tells me, okay, where do you feel this in your body? So I felt it like in the pit of my stomach, like way down low, kind of like when the bottom is coming out from think about a roller coaster. That's how I described it, right? When you're going down and that I feel like the bottom is coming out from under you. That's where I felt it, like really low in my pelvis, I would say. And he tells me to put my hand there and he tells me to just feel it. And I think I'm going to die. I'm serious. Like the pain was so intense. I'm saying this to him, right? I'm saying this to a practice coach, right? He's practicing on me. And in my head, I'm thinking, this fool is going to kill me. He's going to fucking kill me before my mom dies because the pain is so intense. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's practicing on me. So my mind is still going, right? I'm still in this, like, this is not going to help. This is not going to do anything. This is not going to miraculously make my mom come back to life. It's the only thing that will help me at this point is if I get a call from the doctor saying, your mom's going to make it. She's not going to die. That's the only thing that I'm thinking is going to help me. And so then he tells me what we're supposed to say, right? And it sounds counterintuitive, but put your hand where you feel it the most and send it love. I'm like, what? I'm like, look, bitch, I feel like I'm about to die here, and you want me to send this feeling love? I'm like, this dude doesn't know what he's doing, right? He's going to fail this certification, especially if I die during it. So I'm like, all right, just go with it. Just go with it. So, and then he has me do these weird yawns. That's what you're supposed to do. Not even a deep breath, but a yawn. So I got my hand where I'm feeling this pain that I'm sure is going to kill me, yawning. And he keeps repeating over and over again because I keep wanting to go back to the story. I'm like, you don't understand. My mom is dying. This might kill me. Like the feeling that I have. And he's just repeating over and over, Lisa, stay out of your mind and stay in your body. Stay out of the mind, stay in your body. So I keep doing it. And on a scale of 0 to 10, you're supposed to say, how intense is the feeling? There was no scale for it, right? Like, oh, we're way over a 10, mister. I think this feeling is going to fucking kill me. So don't be asking me like it's way over a 10, right? 10 times, a million times infinity. That's how intense it was. So I'm sitting there with my eyes closed, got my hand, I got it there right now, like low in my pelvis. And I am just having trouble sending it love too. I'm like, I can't love this feeling. I can't love it. So then he says to me, well, you're a mom, right? And I said, yes. And he said, well, when your daughter was young and she was crying, you didn't like the crying, right? But you still stayed with the feeling. You still allowed her to have her feeling, experience her feeling, even though it didn't feel good. And I was like, yeah. He said, so show yourself the same love that you showed your daughter when she was crying. So that's what I did. I just closed my eyes and something miraculous happened. The first miracle that happened is I stopped crying. And I stopped crying because I got out of the story in my head of my mom is dying. This is going to kill me. Being so angry, like so pissed off that at the doctors, the government, right? Politics, all that bullshit with COVID, right? I was reeling in my head about that. And the more he kept me in my body, the more I stayed in my body and really allowed myself to experience the horrible physical sensation that I thought might kill me, the more I allowed myself to experience and really feel it and send it love, I stopped crying. And once I stopped crying, that meant I was out of the story, right? I was out of the mind that I was telling myself. We live in our minds a lot, right? And I just sat with it. And it slowly started decreasing. decreasing, until suddenly, I tell you, it was a miracle. It was a miracle. I felt warmth through my whole body. Like God Himself just opened up the crown of my head and breathed into me. Just healing it all. All the turmoil that I was feeling about my mom dying in my body. A sense of peace. So I was like, I went from like infinity of pain, right? Feeling to about a 1. Maybe even a 0, I would say. How is that possible? How is it possible that I could feel at peace even though my mom was still dying in the hospital? I still couldn't see her. All of those things were still true. Yet I felt peace. I was like, whoa. Then my ego kicked in and the devil kicked in going, it's a fluke. It's a fluke, right? It's a fluke. It's not going to happen again. Like you're going to get off this call. You're going to get yourself all riled up. It's a fluke. There's no way that this could really happen. Well, I'll be damned. We had to do, hours and hours of practice sessions over the course of 5 days. Hours, right? It was exhausting. It was. To be healed and to do the healing. Both were exhausting. And every single time I went into those stupid breakout rooms that I hated, that I resisted, every single time, I still was like, reeling in my head. Doubting it too, not believing it. Every single time I would get myself to a place of peace. Even though outside of me, right, my mom was still dying in the hospital. I still couldn't see her. My dad was still really sick with COVID at home. Nothing had changed, yet everything had changed. Peace amid the storm, right? We can't stop stress from happening. We can't stop, people that we love from dying, right? These were things that were completely out of my control, right? The CDC was involved, for God's sakes. The government's involved. Like, even if I wanted to, I couldn't have seen her. Now that could have killed me, right? That right there, seriously. And yet I got myself to a place of peace. And this is the miraculous part also I'm going to mention. Within minutes, right? You could go to therapy for years and not get yourself to a place of peace. You could talk yourself to death. You could talk yourself straight to the grave and you might not get yourself to a place of peace. That's when I was like, okay, I'm a believer. I'm a believer in this because the visualizations, so imagine the visualizations that I took women through, right? If I'm on the phone with the doctor and the doctor is giving me bad news and I'm going crazy in my body, I can't say to that doctor, hold on a second, I'm going to go lay down in a quiet room, turn the lights off, get myself centered and do a whole visualization to get me through this. No, like I needed something that would help myself first and then my clients within minutes. Within minutes. I don't care what's happening in your life. Anything. That was like the worst of the worst for me, right? My mom dying. That was like my worst nightmare, my worst fear. I had separation anxiety when I was a kid. This is like the ultimate separation anxiety. And yet I could get myself to a place of peace. How is that possible? It's possible. It's not even possible. Like Christian Michelson, that's the way he sold it, right? Peace is inevitable. Peace is inevitable. I say peace is unavoidable. Right? You can't, even if you wanted to avoid it, you couldn't avoid it. And that is how I became a certified healer. I was always a healer before, not wanting to admit it though, right? now I can say I'm a certified healer. And I love the way it happened. Like, this is God, right? This is divinity happening, because God knew that my mom was going to die and I was going to need help getting through that. I taught it to my dad also. I taught this technique to my dad to help him, and it's helping him. And again, you don't have to even believe it. You don't have to believe that, and this is unusual for me to say because normally I'm all about the belief and the energy behind it. But I'm living proof that you can go in as a total skeptic with a bad attitude, right? Thinking it's all a bunch of fluff, kooky fluff, and it still works. So your soul work is going to be join my healing group. We're going to meet monthly, and you get to heal all the shit that's going on in your life. And healing is a process, right? So it's not like I healed from my mom dying in one day. I had to I had a chance, I had a lot of chances in that week to practice this healing technique to get myself to a place of peace. And then when she did actually die on the 6th day, the day after the whole training was over, that morning is when she actually died. I was like, what is happening? I felt peace because I knew she was at peace finally because she was back home with Jesus. And I was able to have peace. Now, granted, grief is a whole nother thing. I did an episode on grief as a mindfuck. I don't know what episode that is, but go back and watch that if you want more about grief. And I'm going to be doing more about grief, how to heal from grief, how to use this technique with grief. But I have used it on clients who have experienced their children dying, a child committing suicide, a child dying on a ventilator, right? That's like the worst of the worst. Their parents dying, their spouse dying. I've used it on clients who thought they'd never be able to stop overeating, binging, who thought they'd never be able to get rid of cravings. I'm telling you right now, 100% guarantee this will give you peace amid any storm in your life. It is the most powerful technique I have ever learned. It is the most powerful technique I have ever used on myself. And it's the most powerful technique that I will ever teach you. So contact me, my email. Steve, let's put the email below. If you're interested, drop in comments. Sign me up, Lisa, for the healing group. And remember, you are worth it.